Hi everyone, thank you for joining us again on this really sunny Friday afternoon. I think we've been a bit overdosed on the sunshine, which is wonderful for us all. And today I'm going to be talking to Rosie Green, who is a very well-known, long-standing beauty editor. She has been involved with, over the years, lots of national newspapers and magazines, and she's the contributing beauty editor for Red magazine. And I've known Rosie for a good few years now, and she's got a great story to tell, and she's a very, very credible. And there she is. And hello, Rosie.
Hello. Oh, I'm so relieved when it works. Thank you for that lovely intro.
And I'm glad you're the right way up, because
Yes,
on Wednesday one of my team was upside down. So it's nice to see you in lockdown.
Yeah,
And looking very glamorous. How are you doing?
I have to say, I don't know what it is. There's the perfect light going on here. I'm not normally looking like this. No, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, very good. Thank you, Rosie. So I've given you the good intro because obviously you know a lot. You've been in the industry a very long time. And I'm going to hand over the reins to you now because you're the journalist. You're the person who knows all the questions to ask. So I'm at your mercy. So
you should never say that. Well, I guess I'd just like to begin by saying, that, you are one of my most trusted people in the industry who I trust with my face, and, I'm very lucky to have lots of people to choose from. So I just think that you are, you're really brilliant at what you do, and I really trust your aesthetic. And I guess, most of my followers or friends, their number one question to me always is about kind of, they want a bit of help, they want to look better, but they don't ever want to look done. So how we all see the scary faces. How do you make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest barriers, I think, isn't it? We've talked about this many times, and I think fear is the biggest thing for a lot of people when they consider any kind of cosmetic or aesthetic medicine. Fear of looking odd or weird. And of course, we see a lot of odd and weird going on. So it's very hard sometimes to work out, well, how does that happen? And I think the other thing, and answering your question, is that often we see some of the celebrity world who are clearly getting it right because they look like they've had nothing done. So they look amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
They just look like they've been held in aesthetic suspended animation, as I call it.
Which is
and then
what we all want, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Of course we do. And then there's the others who, of course, have access to all the best people, access to all the best, treatments because they're so well known and they're so famous and they have a lot of, disposable income, and they just get it wrong. And you think, well, actually, if they get it wrong, what chance do the rest of us have? And I think there's the messages are, I suppose, that it's about keeping everything in balance. And it's one of the things I always go on about, is that we can't treat a face that's in its 50s or 60s like a face we would treat someone in their 30s. It just cannot happen. The other thing as well is that if we do too much of one thing, so we all know, we're all very finely tuned into just glancing at something and knowing whether something's off. I know you and I both know that. If you actually look across the room and you see someone's face and it looks slightly off. I'm not talking about beauty here. I'm talking about where something, the eyebrows are too high or the lips are out of proportion. We're all sort of programmed to appreciate good, beautiful proportion.
It's almost on a subconscious level, isn't it?
It is. We're programmed that way. And I've gone to many, many lectures over the years where they've proven this. Put pictures up, photographs up, and you say, well, that one. And they're all very similar. So actually, it's to do with balance. If we keep the face balanced, harmonious, and natural, natural looking, we can do quite a lot in aesthetic medicine without anyone really being aware we've done anything at all.
And sometimes that's about listening to your advice, isn't it? Because I think, quite often people get fixated on one thing, won't they? They think, okay, I need Botox, or I need fillers, or I need this. And actually, it's sort of like, well, actually, I remember you saying to me, well, actually, there's Botox and there's fillers, and actually in conjunction, they're going to work really well, So it's kind of about listening to your advice, which I guess, again, there's a barrier because people are worried they're being sold to at that point. But actually, you need a mixture of all of them, right, in low doses.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a practitioner for everyone. I do agree. I mean, this is the point. It's about developing a relationship based on trust with the doctor that you're going to see or the clinic that you're going to see. And I could talk and bore you senseless about how you do your checklist. That's for another time, and about how you would approach a clinic. And, you know, you have to go for good credentialing. You have to make sure that people are GMC registered or on a professional body register, and all of those tick lists that you go through anyway.
Yeah.
But once you've found somebody that you trust, it's working with that person. And I always say, you know, a face, when you're working with a face and a person, it's an emotional level, it's all these layers of knowing someone, what they do for a living, how they're interacting with people. But a face is like a piece of art, and you're working with that piece of art. And if there's too many cooks involved in that, you know, if there's too many artists involved, sort of, you actually don't get the best artwork. So I think sometimes patients search around for the holy grail. They're jumping from clinic to clinic trying to find that perfect doctor, that amazing, you know, person that can be better than everybody else. And actually, I don't think that's true. I think there are a number of people, good people, very experienced people, who can deliver very high-end work, brilliantly visual, very artistic people. But once you found your practitioner, I would say often stick to that person and do the journey. And that's the way you get the best results often, I think.
Yeah, because I think, you know, there's this big thing, isn't there, that, you know, in magazines and newspapers, and, you know, obviously we're partly responsible for that, you know, this person becomes the lip person, this person becomes the philo person this time. And actually, if you're a good person, you're sort of looking at the whole, aren't you, rather than that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just enough but not too much. It's integrating treatments to actually treat whatever you see. It's a very bespoke treatment. As I said, what you do for one age group you wouldn't do for another. What you do for one 50-year-old person you wouldn't do for the next. So it's it's a bespoke treatment. You need a very good assessor to work out exactly what you want, exactly what they think would look best, and work with you. And we are lucky, of course we are lucky, because in our practice we have a multidisciplinary team. So we have people who are experts in technology, people who are very good at lips, people who are very good at, so we actually work collaboratively to try and get the best approach there for the patient.
And you're brilliant at that, aren't you? Because I mean, you've said that to me sometimes, you know, I'm very good at this, but actually I'm going to send you to, you know, to so and so or Sophie or someone else for this, which I think really shows. And the other thing that I always say to people, but I hope it's true, is that actually you want someone really experienced. You want someone who's done lots of those injections, who knows what they're doing, because there's always a kind of quid pro quo in quite a lot of the time, isn't there, in that, you know, if you kind of inject this area will freeze a bit, or this area might droop, you know, you need to know what you're doing. You need to have done it, you know, time again. Yeah,
you need to walk the walk. I mean, safety first, as we say. We're not saving lives here. I keep saying this couldn't be any more important now in the current, you know, global crisis that we're in. We're not talking here about saving lives. We're talking about, hopefully, improving people's lives, making them feel better. And therefore, you need someone who's predominantly safe. You need your practitioner to be safe, have seen pretty much everything. You know, I've seen most things over the years, and to actually be able to be that mixture of safety, but highly artistic. And I always say, I think that's very, very important, because actually having a very, very keen artistic eye, you'll often find a lot of the very, very high-end injectors will be artists in some shape, way or form, or think they are anyway. So, you know, often they'll do, you know, something to do with sculpture or art, or that often we like to think of ourselves as being very artistic, but we have to be very, very safe. And I think that's really, really important.
That's quite, you know, because often you think of doctors or people that are, you know, medical or science based as not being so creative and artistic. So that's why I think it's quite, and that's why you have to search out those people who do have that duality to them, don't you? I think people know. I think when a patient comes in, or prospective patient comes in through the door and has a consultation, you know, people aren't stupid. They're very savvy. And they know if they feel right, that someone's got the right approach and the right way of treating them, and they just feel it's right. And that's often the best way. If you just go into a clinic, you experience the service, and you think,
that feels right to me. Start the process, get that relationship going. That's the best way to do things. That's where you get best results. We've got patients who were terrified at the beginning, started off with a little bit of something, and never have anything like, you know, I'm not going to do any more than that. And before, you know, 2, 3, 4 years down the line, they're actually having a lot more done and look absolutely fantastic and actually look better than when they started. And the other thing I always think is really important to say, again, particularly now, in the current climate, when we're all very aware of not to, you know, have a great deal of balance in the way we think about things now, and take a little bit of a reflective moment, is that what I find in our practice, perhaps particularly with the people I treat, is that it's not just the stuff of vacuous, vain, self-obsessed creatures that just have got nothing better to do than come into a cosmetic practice. Most of the people that I treat have had real life-changing experiences. They come for all kinds of different reasons, and they hold down busy jobs. They're busy people. They have very full lives. It's not just about the way they look. They just want to feel a bit better, and that adds to their quality of life. And if it does that, fantastic.
I agree. I don't think we need to I think, you know, there's a lot of time spent justifying these things, but in my mind, I think, you know, I've worked a lot with you know, incredibly high-end creams and candles, and, you know, and actually I've seen more than ever during this thing, these are the things that bring some people, not everybody, but they bring joy. And actually for me, if, okay, it's expensive to come and have a treatment, but actually it's 3 or 4 pots of cream, and, you know, for me, the results speak for themselves, you know, and you kind of get that instant hit. You instantly feel refreshed, you feel less tired, and actually if you feel great in yourself, you're projecting a confidence, you know. I mean, we all know there's a sort of duality to that argument. Of course there are a million arguments, aren't there, but I feel like it's, you know, it really bolstered me when I needed to be bolstered.
Of course. And you shared your story with so many people, and I think it isn't for everybody, and that's absolutely fine. And we're very aware of that. But if it is for, you know, if people want to embrace it and do it, why not? And if they can do it, why not? And I think that's really important. And I think, like you said, it can really change where you're feeling a bit low and a bit, you know, it can really just boost the confidence. A bit like hair colour, you know, we go on and on at the moment about hair. But it's true. It's not the same, but it's similar.
Yeah, it is massively. So we're all sitting at home. We can't, especially me, I can't get into you. I might have to just arrive at your door. So what can we do, like, in this sort of period of time to kind of, I guess, feel good about our skin and get it kind of primed and ready to kind of come and see you, I guess? What's the best scenario for you in terms of skin if someone's coming to you?
Yeah, I mean, there's very little we can do, isn't there? I mean, certainly I talked to one of my practitioners about this on Wednesday. What are the basic things we can do that will keep us in a really good position for when maybe we come back into clinics, if a patient of ours, or just because, you know. And I think just basic, really good, high quality medical grade skincare. You know, we will say that. We will be promoting that because actually it's more active. There's advanced delivery systems, so it will actually get to the sweet spot where it needs to work. And I think actually there's 3 hero products, which is what we were again talking about. And those 3 hero products often are what people are completely aware of already. You know, a vitamin A product, retinol, a retinol product that will actually, you know, slough the surface of the skin, give us a micro peel, get rid of the debris, get rid of that top dead cell layer, and stimulate some active collagen, some active cell turnover. So that's number 1. The retinol is a very important. We use Zoobagi. There are some very good lines out there. We actually like Zoobagi. It's very active. We're used to working with it, and we're used to consulting patients for it and working, you know, upping the ante when we need to. So actually, we don't just sort of give it to somebody that, yeah, you go. We actually will watch that patient and sort of up the usage, up the dose, and then incorporate other things with it. And an antioxidant like a vitamin C serum, which again, most people know about now, but vitamin C serums in an advanced delivery system, again, we use Zoobagi, that would be fantastic because those antioxidants mop up what we call free radical formation. And all our body processes, all our metabolic processes produce these free radicals. And free radicals damage our body, damage our skin, and also we get free radicals from UV light. So if we're mopping up those toxic free radicals, our skin quality is going to be better, and our skin is going to look good. So vitamin C serum is a great one, an antioxidant. And then the third hero product is the one we all know, and that's our SPF. And more so now, you know, SPF, we use Heliocare, we use them. So I think it's, people will have their favorites, the things that they get on with, but that's what we use a lot. And Heliocare is a very popular brand. A lot of my patients even come into the clinic already on something like that, because you can get it slightly tinted, you can get a clear one, you can get all kinds of different formulations of Heliocare. So retinol, vitamin C serum, and you always put vitamin C serum on like your underwear. You put it on clean skin before you put anything else on. And
are we wearing underwear at the moment?
And that's it. So keep it simple. But what we were saying earlier this week was, we can be a little bit more brave with our skincare at the moment, because after all, no one's really seeing us. So if we're a little bit peely, a little bit flaky, a little bit pink, does it really matter? It doesn't really, but it will prep us for coming out of this lockdown.
And I guess the thing that I'm really naughty on in my SPF is I just don't use enough. You have to use a really decent amount, don't you?
Well, you have to do it regularly enough as well. You know, I think some of us put it on in the morning, forget about it. And that's, you know, if you're indoors and you're not getting a lot of UV, well, that's fine. But actually now, most of us are encouraging, you know, we're encouraged to exercise and walk, and we're walking the dog, and, you know, some people are on their bikes. We just need to keep reapplying it. We just need to be made aware that actually just one application in the morning isn't going to be enough. So dependent on how often you're out. Yeah, that's the problem, is we forget we do it. It's done, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is.
Exactly.
But often a lot of people are putting a little bit of, you know, a little bit of makeup on sometimes. I mean, I'm not, apart from when I'm talking on camera, I'm not wearing any makeup. So there's no added barrier there. So it's very important that we use more SPF regularly throughout the day.
And that is true as well, isn't it? We're giving our skin a bit of a break. And you're right, you know, you kind of, I've been trying to do things like, I'm a bit addicted to having my lashes tinted and permed, but I know it makes them quite dry. So, you know, we can give them a break from the mascara, we can put the lash oil on, we can do all that kind of stuff, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's quite an eye-opener, isn't it? I think, you know, I was laughing about this. The biggest eye-opener for me, I'm afraid, is the hair, is the regrowth. And that's the problem. And I mean, Andrew Barton last week gave some top tips. And one of his top tips was not to mess around too much at home, and certainly not to try and cut your hair or colour your hair at home unless you're really experienced at doing that. What did I do last night at midnight? Cut my fringe. I mean, I just completely ignored him. I did my own thing, and because it was just sort of down here. So, you know, ultimately, we're all going to sort of try and do our own thing.
Yeah, but if we sit on our hands, basically.
I think once we see when lockdown is starting, you know, there's a little bit of a glint, a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. I think we may just hang fire and stop doing these things.
And talking about, you know, we were just talking about the sun coming out. I mean, I guess it's always that first kind of couple of weeks when you kind of got your sort of grey, dandruffy body out into the sunshine. And you know, we've talked a lot about the kind of body being the new face, and certainly not in any way about sort of body shaming or making people feel rubbish about their body, but just saying that actually there is, you know, I mean, it seems like in the past like 5 years, or even more recently than that, stuff that really can make a difference out there to your body.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been, again, you know, talking about dandruffy grey body. You're talking about me there, girl. I mean, that's it. I've always had this pale, pasty skin, you know, sort of called reflex. Sorry, they're called reflex at school. You know, oh, God. Oh. Yeah. And, you know, it isn't easy to get out there anyway and feel body confident. I'm just like you. I'm a great believer. Be the size you are, be the shape you are, love the skin you're in. We're not there, you know, we shouldn't have this fixed idea. But good skin quality, you know, good skin quality makes us feel better, look better. And certainly basic things we can do. I mean, really basic stuff. Again, I'm lazy, but basic things like body brushing, you know, body brushing and exfoliating, bog standard stuff. We don't have to try too hard to do that. It's just, we have the time to do it now. So body brushing will improve lymphatic drainage in the limbs and arms and make the skin look smoother. Good moisturizers, of course, temporary effect, but that will help. I mean, there's certainly things that are more sort of next grade, next level. I'm lucky enough to have, we have it in clinic, but I have one at home, something that does almost the equivalent of a manual lymphatic drainage at home. So you put yourself in this big piece of sort of kit. So it looks like you look like an astronaut, and you're getting some
boots, aren't they?
Yes,
Like
yes,
yes.
yeah, it's called Body Balance. So it's great. I have to say, I'm not overly promote, but I'm a great believer. And I was a skeptic at the beginning. You know, I think sometimes you start thinking, oh, I'm not sure that works very well. Yeah. It's great. So I get myself in this big suit, and and it actually does a lymphatic drainage. So you feel the whole thing blowing up, and there's different programs. And actually, it's been proven to have very, very, very positive health benefits. It helps detox because, of course, it's improving that lymphatic flow through the body. It helps me sleep better, and also improves my skin quality because that cellulitic, so that's like cellulite at the top of the legs, a lot of that, as we know, is due to that fluid retention. So actually, it really works.
Just for people at home, and maybe for me, the lymph system is something, it's a bit like your blood flows around in your circulatory system, doesn't it? But the lymph system is something that deals with your sort of more watery toxins.
Yes,
is that
the
right?
toxins, yes.
But it's less efficient.
It is, and the older we get as well, it becomes less efficient. If we tend, and some people are more prone. Some people actually have medical conditions, all kinds of other proper sort of lymphedema, which, by the way, this machine can treat as well, or help treat as well. But when we're getting older, I stand up for long periods of time in my job. I literally stand up sometimes for 8-10 hours a day. I'm not moving enough. The lymphatics rely on the muscles as well, sort of pumping that lymph through the body and then excreting it through the kidneys. So it makes all our organs function better. So we're drinking more and more water. We all know to do that because we're all trying to keep ourselves well hydrated and well. But actually our lymphatics have got to deal with that and then excrete through the kidneys, keep all the organs healthy. And actually it gets sluggish. Simple as that. We get sluggish, and that will predispose to all kinds of things. And one of which, I mean, when we're talking aesthetically, it will often predispose to heavier legs, dimpling in the legs, and it really does improve that look. So I'm definitely a body balancer. I feel it actually improves me how I look when I'm exposing a bit of skin, and also it actually genuinely makes me feel better. I actually sleep better. So I think there's lots of things we can do. You can
come into clinic and have that, can you? When you open again?
Yes, it's a relatively inexpensive treatment too. I think a lot of, some of these things are, and I appreciate some of the things that are offered can be really very pricey, but Body Balancer is actually a very reasonably price treatment, and people have courses of it and then just maintain it, and they find it actually makes them feel better and look better. We use it to supplement other treatments too as well, which I won't go on to. Things like when we're doing body contouring treatments like cool sculpting or etc., we often use it to supplement that too and to enhance it.
That's interesting. I mean, I definitely, I can't remember how many years ago it was, had a sort of cool sculpting session, which I think, if you're somebody, well, it can be anyone, whatever you're worried about, but if you're someone that kind of has those fat pockets that won't shift even at the gym, like people get them under their arms, don't they? I mean, it did truly work, which is brilliant.
It's very good for those stubborn pockets. It's very, very good for that. And I think for those, little inner thighs, upper arms, a little bit of a tum, and love handles, splanks, it's very good for that. And I think what I was talking about to people earlier was this, that we all know the most important thing is what we can do ourselves as well, look after ourselves, exercise, eat well. But none of us are, well, some people are, I'm certainly not, none of us are perfect in the way we behave. I've always been a great believer in a little bit of what you fancy does you good. I do drinks, from time to time. I'm not one of these people that never lets alcohol touch my body. I think some people are very, very wonderful at that. I'm not. I enjoyed it, but it's moderate. It's about moderation, and I like sugar. I'm afraid I love sugar, but I try and restrict it. But we were talking about this too, is this exercise. I personally hate exercise. I hate it, but I know I have to do it. I have to do it. I feel I have to do it, and I feel very, very, I've been so good and I've done it, but actually I don't like it. And what I do think will happen is when we get after lockdown, it's, I think people do know that they need to get back to exercise. But of course, we're all going to be just a little bit tentative, aren't we? And how we go back to gyms or how we go back to social art, in those social environments, in that social distancing has to still probably remain for quite some time. So I think we're all very aware that we're going to have to sort of find ways of exercising. I'm not saying we're going to ditch the gym. That's not what I'm saying. But I think that sometimes we have to use our own methods to supplement the way we're going to be moving forward in this slightly tricky time. So we'll see.
Yeah, and can you just, I mean, the thing that interests me on the body stuff as well, and I've read about lots of sort of celebrities having it and keep getting lots of press releases about people now dealing with sort of the skin quality on your body. So obviously we've all been very focused on our face, but you know, that kind of slightly sagginess or the kind of lack of elasticity, you know, those kind of picture perfect bottoms, you know, what treatments are out there for that, to kind of rejuvenate that?
It depends what age someone is, depends what skin quality they've got, whether they've got very thin, fine skin like mine, or whether they've got thicker, oilier skin like others. Generally speaking, it's general. Oilier, thicker skin tends to age slightly better in terms of lining, that crepiness. It tends to do much better. But that having been said, certainly we can combine treatments. One of the biggest game changers in the industry over the past few years has been Profilo. I'm sure you know all about Profilo.
And I have had Profilo, and I really liked it. It's subtle though, isn't it? It's not, I mean, it's not
hyper subtle,
but it's glowing. You glow.
It's true. It's not going to be the wow, you know. I think, you know, if somebody wants wow, it's going to be, you know, if I had to say one thing, there's sometimes people say to me, what's the one thing you say as a wow factor for a woman between sort of 40 and 50? It's going to be filler every time, and twice on Sundays, every time. But for that gradual improvement in skin quality, elasticity, crepiness, particularly in faces, necks. We use it a lot for upper arms, inner thighs. Profilo is a marathon, not a sprint. If you actually just layer it in, do a couple of treatments, then do one 3 months later, and you just counsel the patient properly, so they're not expecting a woo, you know, immediately. It's fantastic, and it can be, if needs be.
I just thought we should explain probably what it is to people. It's a very liquid filler that is that is not going to change the planes of your face, is it? It's just going to give you a deep down kind of moisturization and kickstart your collagen. Is that right?
Yes, what it does, it's not a filler. What it does, it's a biostimulator. So what it does is it's an injectable. Yes, I was getting carried away with where we can do it rather than telling you what it is. So it's an injectable with tiny little needle pricks, and it goes out little tiny blebs which go down within a few hours. But what it does,
you do look like you've been stung by
it really looks quite odd for a few hours. Then it just completely disappears. It's quite bizarre. So you have to warn people, you know, maybe don't go out for lunch for a few hours. And then it just literally causes stimulation of different types of collagen. So you get more and elastin, which is the sort of elastic component in the skin. So it just causes this lovely regenerative effect, this sort of stimulatory effect. So that's why it's quite slow. And that's why it's a marathon, as I said, not a sprint. But it doesn't alter the way you look. It just keeps you looking exactly the same.
I'm coming right in for one of those as soon as I can. I'll be like knocking on your door for those. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
it's really good.
How does it relate in terms of cost to filler? Is it relatively? Is it quite expensive, or is it?
It's similar. I mean, it's very similar. So depending on what clinic you go to, depending on how they roll the treatment out, per syringe. The good thing about it is, whereas fillers are generally the fee is related to 1 ml of filler. So a syringe of fillers is normally, I'm going to say 1 ml. It's either a tiny bit less, or anyway, 1 ml. Profilo comes in a syringe that's double that.
Okay.
So for the same money, you get double the treatment. That's because it's slightly different. As I said, it works in a different way, but actually it's similar to a filler treatment. So and often we will integrate that treatment, as I said, with other technology treatments. Somebody was asking a question about, you know, turkey necks. Depending on the extent of the turkey neck, and turkey necks are really hard sometimes, because sometimes beyond a certain age, only surgery is the thing, to be frank. But our job is to be, you know, assess that and say whether something's treatable or not. But sometimes if it's not gone too far, and you want a non-surgical answer, putting Profilo and then doing something like all therapy or something that actually gives a bit of lift at a deeper level, you can combine the two treatments. Gives a really, really nice improvement in skin quality and elasticity. It's lovely.
Well, definitely, I had the therapy. I had the therapy at your place, didn't I? And again, that's a marathon, not a sprint. You have to wait for it to show. And then I bet your problem is that everyone just then thinks, oh, this is just what I look like now.
Well, there is that, and you know, that's the really interesting thing, because and don't we all feel that too, is that, you know, there is that once everything wears off a bit, it's very, very interesting, because obviously very, very good aesthetic medicine should be not peaks and troughs. You shouldn't be seeing, you know, somebody shouldn't look great for 2 months and then dreadful for another 2 months and then great and dreadful. The idea is that you keep it all going to look really, really super, so everyone thinks, you know, it's just, you know, you're just very lucky
including yourself.
Wow, God, look at this. So I think ultimately, but of course now in lockdown, we've all been exposed to a bit more reality. And again, I put it back into perspective. There's nothing wrong with that, but we just do start to notice things wearing off more than we normally want to.
I mean, in a way, I'm aware that we need to wrap it up soon, but in a way, is that quite a good thing from your point of view, that people are going back to base? Because then, is it a bit like hair colour? It's almost like, you know, you kind of want to be dealing with the kind of base level, of, then you can sort of, you haven't got, no.
Not really. I think that if some, you know, not really. I think our idea is that we're maintaining people and keeping that lovely, really lovely natural look continuously. There's nothing wrong. The only, do you know what I think the main benefit to letting things maybe wear off a bit, and we've had to in lockdown, is that perhaps it then makes people realise exactly the benefits of what we're doing. Because when you get used to having something done all the time, you actually do feel that's the way you naturally look. I mean, I can completely convince myself that I'm a natural blonde. Completely. I mean, you know, I'm absolutely convinced that. And then you see this thing, no, I'm grey. Actually, I'm mouse with grey flecks. So actually, you know, there's the only benefit, truthfully, is that people perhaps will say, actually, you know what, Tracy, you're right. You know, it reinforces what you've been telling me. I do actually look better with it. But, you know, I think we're taking a rather light-hearted view of this here. I think... Ideally, I'd love to. It's better to just let things bubble along nicely. That's what I like to do with patients, and then they look great and they feel great, and it is wonderful in the world.
Oh, well, I for one can't wait to be. I'll be banging down your door as soon as they lift this. That'll be my first visit.
Well, Rosie, you look great. Are you doing a lot of exercise? I've just got to ask you before you go. Are you being really good at home and really being disciplined?
I'm being pretty good. I generally. I mean, well, I haven't really got much else to do, so I have been doing that, and I've been much better. You know, I can be a bit lazy with my skincare. Don't tell anyone. So I have been trying to do that, and that's been making me feel good, actually. So yeah, I'll be perfectly primed for you when I come in.
Good. That's what I like to hear. And we'll share our stories when we see each other again.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rosie. It's lovely to see your face, and take care and enjoy the weather, which is all we can all do at the moment.
Exactly.
Thank you for talking to me.
Lots of love. Bye.
Bye, Rosie. See you soon.